From Tokyo, Japan and New Plymouth, New Zealand, this is Down to Business English with your hosts, Skip Montreux and Samantha Vega.
The strangest thing happened to me recently, Skip.
Oh, what's that, Samantha?
A few days ago, I was ordering a latte at my local coffee shop, and the barista asked if I wanted protein added to it.
Protein? Like the protein powder bodybuilders use to put in their smoothies after a workout?
I guess so. I declined, so I don't know.
Okay, well, that is a little unusual. But I wouldn't go so far as to say it's all that strange.
Well, it gets even stranger. Ever since that happened, I started noticing protein everywhere.
What do you mean?
At the supermarket, I saw all sorts of protein-fortified products, protein waffles, protein pasta, even protein ice cream.
A full-scale invasion of protein.
It feels like this stuff has suddenly taken over every aisle. Have you noticed an increase in protein products in Japan?
Not in my daily life. But then again, the packaging on the food is all in Japanese, and it's a little difficult for me to read it. But I think I know why you suddenly started to see protein products everywhere.
Oh, really? Please, enlighten me.
It's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon, also known as frequency illusion.
What's that?
It's a phenomenon that happens when something new catches your attention, like protein coffee. Your brain starts encountering it more often, not because it's actually there more often, but because your brain is just noticing it more frequently.
Ah, yes, that happened to me when I was pregnant. I started seeing all these pregnant women everywhere. It's also like when you buy a blue car and suddenly you're seeing blue cars everywhere.
There you go. That is the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. Maybe that's what you're experiencing.
Maybe a little. But I was so curious that I looked into it a bit deeper. And to my surprise, I learned that there has been a real spike in the high-protein food market over the last few years.
The high-protein food market. I didn't even realize that was a thing. Is this our business topic today?
Yes it is. It's not just a fleeting trend. It's a multi-billion-dollar shift in consumer habits.
Then let's do it.
Yes, let's do it. Let's get D2B, down to business, with the protein push. How a niche product for bodybuilders and athletes has gone mainstream.
The high-protein food market. Like I said, I didn't even know such a market existed.
Oh, it does. And it's growing.
Is it? So what kind of numbers are we talking about?
According to market research, the global high-protein food market is projected to grow from just under $57 billion this year to more than $117 billion by 2034.
It's going to double in just under 10 years.
That's right. It has a CAGR of more than 8% annually.
CAGR?
Yes, CAGR, the compounded annual growth rate.
And what is driving this growth rate? I mean, I understand protein is important, but what is causing this sudden increase in demand?
There are several factors at work.
And they would be?
First, I think it goes without saying that people are more health conscious than ever. And protein is the building block of muscle maintenance, especially when we get older.
Okay, I would agree with that.
Then there is the rise in popularity of plant-based diets, the convenience of grab-and-go meals, and the explosion of fitness culture online. All of these push protein as a supplement.
Okay, but none of these trends are that new.
Well, another big factor is the rise of weight loss medications like Ozempic and Wegovy, what are known as GLP-1 drugs.
How do they play into this?
These medications reduce appetite, so people using them are being advised to make sure that they're still getting enough protein to maintain their muscle mass.
Ah, so food makers saw an opportunity.
They did, and they responded quickly. In 2024, packaged foods were the top-selling segment in the high protein category, largely because of how convenient they are. But now, the fastest growing segment is high protein drinks.
Really? I would have guessed protein bars or maybe powders.
Those are still popular, but ready to drink or RTD protein beverages like shakes, smoothies, and even protein enhanced coffees are leading the growth. And interestingly, while traditional retail stores still dominate the market, online sales are increasing rapidly.
Online makes sense, especially for something people use every day.
Another very interesting detail is where this growth is happening.
It's not just in the United States.
Well, North America is still the largest protein market, but the Asia-Pacific region is the fastest growing market.
Places like Japan.
Japan, China, and India in particular. The rise of plant-based eating, expanding e-commerce options, and younger generations embracing fitness culture are all playing a role.
Well, if this is happening in Japan at all, I really need to improve my food label reading skills.
You might already be eating protein-enhanced foods and not even know it.
So you mentioned that high-protein drinks are the fastest growing segment in the market. What kind of drinks are we talking about? Just shakes and smoothies?
That's where it started, but it's gone far beyond that now. One of the most surprising developments is what people are calling proffee.
Proffee. Let me guess. Protein and coffee.
That's exactly right. The proffee trend actually began on TikTok, where people started mixing protein shakes with iced coffee. But now, major brands are getting involved, including Starbucks.
You've got to be kidding. Starbucks is doing a protein coffee?
They are. They've just announced a new cold foam add-on that contains 15 grams of protein. It's sugar-free and will be available as a topping for almost any iced drink.
So let me get this straight. You can now walk into Starbucks and order an iced coffee with protein on top?
Not quite yet, but Starbucks has confirmed these protein cold foams will be hitting stores later this year. It's part of their much bigger Back to Starbucks campaign.
You know, Des and I reported on Starbucks and the problems they are having back in D2B 349 late last year. They were struggling at the time, and the new CEO had just announced that Back to Starbucks campaign.
Well, they are still having issues. Their profits dropped by almost 50% last quarter, so they're trying to reconnect with younger, health-conscious consumers. Protein is a big part of that strategy.
And I guess if proffee is already a hit on social media, they are just tapping into something that is already trending.
It's not just with drinks. They are also testing high-protein, gluten-free food items, like waffles and pancakes.
That's a pretty big pivot for them. From frappuccinos and coffee to functional drinks and protein pancakes.
It's a shift for sure.
But they must not be the only ones doing this.
No, they are not. Peet's Coffee and Dutch Bros have also jumped in, and Starbucks in the UK and some European countries are already selling bottled proffee drinks with 20 grams of protein each.
You know, I never thought I would say this, but I kind of want to try one of these.
And it's not just coffee shops. Restaurants around the world are responding to changing consumer demand and doing it in smart, cost-effective ways.
By offering more high-protein options?
In some cases, yes. But more often, they're simply reframing existing menu items to highlight their protein content. For example, Panda Express, which operates in multiple countries, launched protein plates using dishes they already had on the menu.
So it is the same food, just repositioned as something healthier.
Exactly. In India, the dairy brand Amul has introduced a high-protein version of their traditional kulfi dessert. And in Asia, especially in Japan and China, you are seeing more high-protein convenience items in places like 7-Eleven and Family Mart. Things like protein-fortified rice balls, sandwiches, and even soups.
Now that you mention it, I may have seen protein labels on some products in convenies here. I just didn't realize how widespread the trend was.
Well, don't be too hard on yourself. I didn't notice this trend until recently either. But now that I have, it's everywhere.
And the trend seems to have a lot of room to grow.
It does. But there are some concerns and challenges that come with all this protein.
So it's not all six-pack abs and protein pancakes.
Not quite. One major concern is health. While short-term high-protein diets are generally safe, excessive protein over long periods can put strain on the kidneys, especially for people with pre-existing conditions.
How much protein is actually recommended?
It depends on your age, gender, overall health, and activity level. But generally, women need around 46 grams a day and men about 56. But with so many protein-enhanced products on the market, some people may be getting far more than they need without realizing it.
Okay, that certainly is a concern.
From a business perspective, another challenge is supply. With so many new types of high-protein products coming on the market, manufacturers are struggling to maintain quality.
I would also imagine that it is getting harder for a product to stand out.
There is no doubt competition is growing. Consumers are showing more and more interest in savory formats too, like broths, stews, and even protein-enriched potato chips and tacos.
Protein-enhanced tacos. I could get behind something like that.
And food companies are also coming up with new ways to make protein. They're experimenting with different sources like hemp and sunflower, and even adding things like probiotics for digestion, collagen for skin and joints, and ingredients that help with mental focus and energy.
Protein with brain boosters.
That's right. High-protein products are becoming a category that goes well beyond just muscle. It's about energy, recovery, focus, and overall wellness.
So what started out as a niche product for gym goers has turned into a global health movement and a business goldmine.
And as long as companies can balance innovation with health and transparency, the future looks very protein-packed.
Well, on that healthy note, I think it is time for us to get D2V down to vocabulary. The first word on today's D2V list is the adjective fleeting. Something that is fleeting only lasts a short time.
It is only temporary or is passing quickly.
In the introduction to today's episode, Samantha used this adjective in a negative statement. She described the high-protein food market as not just a fleeting trend, but a multi-billion-dollar shift in consumer habits.
I was saying the trend was not going to pass quickly and would be lasting a long time.
Samantha, can you give us an example of fleeting, but in a positive statement related to business?
I can. There was a lot of excitement in the lead up to the launch of OpenAI's ChatGPT-5 model earlier this month.
Oh yes, there certainly was.
Well, the excitement around that release turned out to be fleeting. Excitement quickly turned to disappointment, as many users were very disappointed in its ability.
You know, that is a very good example, and I am one of those disappointed users.
Were you not very happy with GPT-5?
Let's just say that I am glad I still have access to O4 and other AI models. So far, I am not impressed with GPT-5.
I'm glad to hear AI will not be replacing all of us humans on schedule.
I guess that would be the good news. I'm sure GPT-5 will improve in the coming weeks. What's our next word?
The next item on today's D2V list is the phrasal verb to tap into. When you tap into something, you access it or make use of something.
It could be a resource, a skill, or even a market opportunity.
You can tap into almost anything. The nuance is that you were not using it before.
Just imagine a bartender attaching a tap to a barrel of beer. The tap gives the bartender easy access to what is inside.
In today's report, Skip said that Starbucks is tapping into something that's already trending on social media, the proffee trend.
In other words, Starbucks is accessing an existing market to attract more customers into their stores.
What would be another business-related example using tap into?
Nike would be a good one. Starting in the 1980s, they tapped into the women's athletic market by expanding their lineup of women's footwear.
It seems like an obvious move now, but at the time, I guess it was a bit revolutionary.
It was. And it allowed Nike to reach more female consumers and capture a larger share of the sports and fitness market.
The final item on today's D2V list is the adjective excessive. When something is excessive, it means there is too much of it, more than is necessary, reasonable, or healthy.
It usually has a negative meaning. It suggests that something has gone beyond what is acceptable.
In today's report, I said that while short-term high-protein diets are generally safe, excessive protein over long periods can put strain on the kidneys.
In other words, eating more protein than is necessary could cause health problems.
Too much of anything can lead to health problems. Skip, I know you have many examples about excessive living.
Yes, but nothing I care to share.
How about a business example then?
Sure. Do you remember WeWork, the office share company that SoftBank heavily invested in?
Didn't they eventually go bankrupt?
They did. And in part, it was because of excessive spending on office leases and expansion.
A perfect example. Excessive spending can bring down even the biggest companies.
Would you like to help Down to Business English reach more people wanting to improve their business English skills? Follow Down to Business English on Apple Podcasts, YouTube Music, Spotify, or any place podcasts are found. Leave a rating and a review and tell everyone how much you enjoy the show.
And that brings us to the end of today's episode. Thank you for that report on the high-protein food market, Samantha.
My pleasure, Skip. It's remarkable how a niche nutritional trend has grown into a global business movement.
From protein pancakes to proffee. Who would have thought? D2B members and Apple Podcast subscribers, the bonus Down to Vocabulary episode for today's report will be dropping in the next few days.
In that bonus D2V, we'll be looking at 5 more useful words and expressions from today's episode. Those words are fortified, a pivot, the verb form of experiment, and the phrases, please enlighten me, let me get this straight, and now that you mention it,
some very useful business expressions.
they are.
If you are a D2B member, make sure you have copied and pasted your member-only RSS feed URL from your account page on the D2B website into the podcast app you use. That way you will not miss out on that bonus episode.
And podcast subscribers, you don't need to do anything. The bonus vocabulary episode will show up in your Apple Podcast feed automatically.
Thanks for listening, everyone. See you next time.
Take care.
Down to Business English. Business news to improve your business English.